Okay, so I'm starting now. So in the previous class, we've
Okay.
already introduced what Microsoft Excel is, but I'll go through it again. It's a commonly used Microsoft Office application. You can see it. You see
Okay.
where I
Thank
am.
you.
You can see it.
Yes, sir.
It's also called a spreadsheet. It's a spreadsheet.
I can see, sir.
It's a spreadsheet program which is used to save and analyze numerical data. So how do you know the total number of rows in Excel? So I said these are columns. Remember I said that. Huh? And these
Yes,
are
sir.
rows.
Yes,
Huh?
sir.
Okay, so let me just
Yes,
open
sir.
to a new Excel sheet to just show you a couple of things before we move on. So I'll go to insert new worksheet. So I will extend this just to show you a little bit. So remember we said this is a column. Huh? These are all columns.
Mm.
Then we said these are all rows. Huh?
Yes, sir.
So the intersection between a column and a row will give you what we call a cell. For example, this is a cell. So this cell has a cell address of C5. We talked about that. This has a cell
Yes, sir.
address of F8. And this has a cell address of C12. We did that. So I now
Yes,
said
sir.
if you want to know the total number of columns in an Excel, what do? You press on any of the row heading. You press N. N. You want to see the N. END on your keyboard. Then you now press your right arrow. The system takes you to XFD. XFD. FXD is a letter that represents the last column on your Excel worksheet. What is this XFD? XFD is a total of 16,000, if you are counting it, 16,384 columns. So going back again, I'm moving between introduction and sheet 1. If you want to know the total number of rows that we have in an Excel, you click on any of the columns, then you press N. I want to see the N. Then you press the down arrow. The system takes you down here. So you can see this is 1,048,576. So if you want to return back to the top, what do? You press home and you press your up. You press home, press and then up arrow. It takes you back to where you are. So I remember telling you that in all this, so with the formula bar and what you decide to put in between here, you can do a lot of calculations. You can create your tables and you can modify it the way you want it. Take for instance, if I want to create a small accounting table, I will have serial number, I will have items, and I will have quantity. We did this. I'm just trying to revise what we did the last time. Amount.
Yes, sir.
Then I will have the unit price. And I said if I have 3 items, 1, 2, and 3, and I can call them biro, eraser, and maybe pencil. So if I bought 10 or 20 of these, 11 of these, and 10 of these at the price, okay, this is unit price, and this is amount. So if the price of this is 500, this is 300, and this is 300. Now I can automatically find out what the amount is. If I bought 20 items for 500 naira, what will be the amount? So to work this out,
equal to,
you type equal to, you click on this column times this column. Then you press enter.
Yes,
so when you press enter, the system tells you it's 10,000. You can repeat the same thing, or you come around here to the last node and draw it down. The system will do the same thing. Remember we did that.
Sir.
Then I also said we can further format this amount by just clicking here and you go to your home tab, and you move around here where you have this number and click on comma star. That is just to add comma to your figures.
Okay.
So I can do the same thing here. So this is what I have. So I can further rearrange this by coming here from my home button. I can put a border around this item, a tick border. I'm selecting the type of border that I want.
Okay.
Then I can tell it to place everything in the center. So this is what I have. So if I want to find the total here, what do I do? If I want to know the total amount that was spent.
Total will be
Equal to
equal to E4
this plus
this E5
plus
E5 E6.
Sorry, let's do that again. Equal to this cell is E5, E6, and E7.
E7.
So we can say E5 plus E6 plus E7. Once you do that, you press enter. The system returns and tells you that the total is 17,000. So we can also convert this to a chart. So how do we convert this to a chart? We can highlight on the whole of this. We insert a chart. So I'm just trying to show you the whole of Excel within a short time. So you go straight to insert a chart. You go to where you have chart. You choose any of the chart type. You want to use histogram, or you want to use line.
Query.
So I click on recommended chart. So I can pick any one here. Maybe this, any one that you want to interpret. That will be easier for you to interpret. Then I'll click OK, and the chart is inserted.
Okay.
So you can see that the serial number is also in here, so it's not supposed to be there. So what do? We can delete this chart out, cut this one out, then we start from items. Items to the amount. So we can repeat the same process again. So we insert. So this gives us an idea of, we can choose any kind of chart. The quantity, the unit price, and the amount based on these three items. So if this is not clear,
so the system automatically puts them anyone that is fit for y-axis.
The system automatically does the calculation for you, automatically rearranges everything and bring out the chart to show what happened. So let's try to interpret this. So so you can see the biro here. So we have three items. We have biro, eraser, and pencil. So they are explained here in this chart. So now let's follow the instruction. You'll see more of this as we're getting on. So under the introduction, that's basically what we did under introduction. I inserted a chart, and I have a table here which has the serial number, the biro, the quantity, and the unit price. Then I did the calculation to get the amount and the total. So from here, I now converted that to this chart that you are seeing here. So the area of the chart you can see is from, you can see it's highlighted there. It's from A2 to E11. A2 to E11. So the system automatically will insert this for us. But we can still redo again if you don't want that chart. You insert a chart based on the area that you have chosen. So if I want to choose another chart now, I can start from just select any area that you want to capture. Do you understand? Select any area that you want to capture. So I will prefer from item to the amount. Then you go to insert and choose your chart type. The system will automatically create that chart for you. So in this case I want to use a pie chart. So when I click here, the system does this for me. Then we can further customize on this chart to show the percentage. For example, if I right click here, I can go to add data labels, and I'll click on add data labels. The system will add, you can see it's adding some figures for me. So these figures you are seeing here represent what we have under quantity. So you can still even format more. So one thing you need to know at this stage is that Excel automatically creates this graph for you. So now looking at this is a lot easier for you to see that based on, let me enlarge this. You can see from here that based on the color designated here, that the fan, this section here, which represents the fan has the highest, just like here. You can see that the fan has the, apart from, okay, the mouse, we have mouse. Mouse has 45. So
45.
Mouse has, so you can see the section for mouse. So all of them are represented by their colors. Again, if this is not showing well, we can still even format this further. So
you're right clicking.
Yes, I'm right clicking on the area. You can right click on the area and tell it to tell you more, or you can even change the chart if you feel this is not showing you all what you want. So I'm clicking. I want to bring different kinds of chart. So that's a pie chart. So I'm going back again to insert. Then I'll go down to histogram. So let's bring this up. So I'm clicking this. So I want to extend this. So here you can see that all the items are listed here. So we have the biro, we have exercise book, we have mouse, we have watch, we have cup, we have shoes, we have fan. Then we have the bottle, we have flower, and we have the camera. Now each of them are designated by 3 different colors. Those 3 different colors here are representing the quantity, the unit price, and the amount. The quantity, the unit price, and the amount. Don't forget, because I did not pick this, so it's showing serial number. So if I want the quantity and the unit price and amount to show, so what I'll do is I'll click from here and select up to this point. So in this case, I want the items to show, I want the quantity to be designated by a color, I want the unit price to be designated by a color, and I want the amount to be designated by a color. So the range of this table will be from B1, you can see it's B1 to E11. The range that I want to visualize graphically will be from B1 to...
Shouldn't it be E10?
To E10, sorry, from B1 to, no, it's E11. Look at it here. Look at here.
Okay, not here.
Yes, it's not. Okay. We are not using.
Okay, that's serial number.
Yes, that's serial number. So we're starting from B. It's actually B1 to E11. So I have highlighted the whole area that I want to see. And of course, I want to see the items, the quantity, the unit price, and the amount. So once I've indicated that, then I'll go back to insert, and I'll tell you to insert a chart. So I can choose any chart that I want. Let's pick this for an example. Then let's enlarge on this. So you can see that those 3 quantities are showing, and they are all designated by their colors. So you can see from here, this one has not shown to the end. So let me just still bring this. So you can see that the amount is shown here. The unit price is shown here, and the quantity is shown here. So in terms of amount, which item has the highest amount? I can see fan extending up to this point. So the highest amount was spent on fan.
Yeah.
Do you understand? The highest amount was spent on fan. Then the second item that has the highest amount is camera. You can see the camera here has the highest amount was spent on camera. Then the next highest amount was spent on mouse.
Mouse.
And the other one is shoes. So just looking at this, one could see that, oh, I spent the highest amount on fan. Then you begin to ask, oh, what happened? What was the cost of the fan? How come that I spent the highest amount on fan and all that? So let's verify that. So if you come around here, you see that we have fan here, and the highest amount was spent on fan, which is 161,500. Then the next highest amount was spent on camera, which is 154,000 naira. You can see that. So that's what Excel helps you to do. So it automatically creates this graph for you based on the area that you select. Based on the area that you select or the range of cells that you pick, Excel will automatically create that cell for you. So having said that, let's move to the second one, if you understand. I hope there's no issue with that concatenation.
No, there's not. There's none.
Okay, so let's start our work now. So we're going to concatenation now. So under concatenation, what is concatenation? What I did was that I wrote all the notes here so that we don't have to spend a lot of time concatenating.
In between spaces.
So we're looking at formulas now that you can use to manipulate your data. So what is this data that was given to us? Let's assume that you have a table like this that was given to you. You can see the first name is given, the last name is given, but there's no full name. But you have salary, you have contact numbers, you have gender, you have probably the project that they did, you have starting date, ending date, no, joining date, the date they joined, the date they started, and the date they finish. So now, for you to, in order for you to better interpret this table, we want to put in the full name. And you know that the full name should have a combination of the first name and the last name. So what Excel feature will you use? You have to use concatenate. Concatenate is used in programming. Even when we're doing Python, we're doing Java programming language, we concatenate. We add you can add multiple strings or text together so that they become one. That's what it means. Add two things, 2, 3, 4, 5 things together so that it will be seen as one. So in this case, we have a text here as first name, we have a text as last name. We want to combine the two and add so that it will become one. So we use a function called concatenate. So the concatenate function in Excel is used to join different pieces of text together or combine values from several cells into one cell. So the formula is, the syntax is concatenate text 1, text 2, and the rest of them. So that's exactly what I use here. So I just wrote the formula. So I'm clicking on the first cell here to see the formula that I use. So I type concatenate, bracket open and close, A11 space B11. What is A11? This is A11. This is B11. Did you see that?
Yes.
So concatenate A. So this one is just a space that I brought in within the quote, so that the names will be separated. If I remove it, so I'm going to remove it, you see that it will be very close to each other. So it still brings it, but they are joined together.
Okay.
Have you seen that?
I've seen it.
So the essence of bringing in that quote is just to space it a bit. So I just use double quotes to space between what I'm going to get as A1 and what I'm going to get.
Those are double quotes.
Just double quotes, yes. So double quotes does that job for us to space it. So
okay.
So you can see now. So the amount of space I put in between the two will now determine how far these two words will be from each other.
Okay.
So let me go back again. If I make it relatively close, it will almost be like I did not put anything. But if I go back to it and just type, use my space bar to do 1 space and 2, then I press enter, then you can see that space between those two words. So basically what concatenate helps me do is to pick up the first name and join with the second one, instead of me typing it manually. Do you understand what I mean? So
I
concatenate
do.
helps me to do that work, and of course I can also repeat the same thing for all the other ones. So you can imagine I just did that. So imagine that I have thousands of data like this.
Yeah.
All what I need to do is to apply the formula to the first one, then I drag
Mm.
down to apply it to automatically to the other thousands of data, and that will be done within a seconds instead of me having to
Mm.
type it manually.
Mm.
You understand that?
Yes, sir.
That's what concatenate does. So now I can see the full name, then I can further work on this document. So let's see what else we can do with this. So now we're moving to the next one. Huh? It's called
Mm.
len. Len is used to show the number of characters in each cell. So where do you apply this? Well, I'm just going to bring in all these functions. Then you now begin to ask yourself, where can this be applied? If, for example, you want to know the number of characters in a particular column, now look at this column. This is C column. So
Mm.
after I entered these names, so I want to count the number of characters that are within the names. So
Mm.
what do? I use len. So just len text. So len C2 will tell you that the number of characters here is 15. Did you see that? So it counts this entire characters that makes up this first name.
Where do you put the formula?
Now I decided to I put it on a separate column here. I call it length of characters. That's why I color it. You can apply Excel formula. You can input the result from here, but you're referencing a particular cell. Now I want you to watch something. If I click, I created this, and I call it length of characters. But I can change this to length of characters for full name, so that you know where I'm getting it from.
Okay.
For full name, so that you know where it's coming from. Length of characters for full name. That means I'm concentrating on the full name column. So now I want to count the number of characters that are here. So what do? I will click here. Then I'll now type equal to. Now I want you to watch. Look at the formula bar. Equal to len in bracket C2. Count the number of characters that are here. The system will count it and return 15 for me. Did you see that? I just click on it to show you the formula. Equal to len C2. And I press enter. The system returns 15. Let me type it here again for you to see. If I type equal to len, then in bracket C2. That's the formula. Count the number of characters in a cell C2. Where is C2? C2 is already highlighted here. Are you seeing? Hello? Hello, are you seeing me? I said, if you want to count the number of characters, so we've just brought in our first name and our last name. We concatenate it to bring it together. Now, if we want to count the number of characters, we use the function len, L-E-N, text. So once you type the formula equal to len, then you now put in the cell address just like this. The system will automatically, you press enter, the system will automatically count the number of that character in that row. Then if you, like in this case, if you bring it down, it does the same thing for all the other characters that are within that row. So at the end of the day, you can see that the name, the full name of the name or the full name with the highest number of character is this last one here. So the question is, where do we apply this? Where do I apply this? If you are building an application or you want to set some restriction, if you have an idea of the number of average number of characters that you want, you can set a restriction. For example, we know that all the phone numbers, let's do for the phone numbers, all the phone numbers should have a total of how many characters?
10 or 11.
Okay, so let's count this and see. So if I want to count the characters that are here, what do I do?
You will put len.
So let's come around here and I want to move a little bit here. Then I want to find the length of character for contact number. So say length of characters for
Contact
number. So I'll expand this to accommodate this. I'm just making it so that you will know where it's coming from. So in this case, it will be what? Equal to len, L-E-N,
len,
bracket open, which cell number?
E2.
E2. So I press enter. So the system tells me it's 10. So if I want to do the same for all the others, what do I do? So I'll do undo. I'll tell you to do the same thing for all the others. I'll just bring it down and it counts, and you can see that the length of characters for the phone number is the same. So in that way, you can set a restriction and say this number cannot be more than this. Anytime it's more than this, that means it's not right.
Sure.
So that helps you. So you can now look at other ways you can explore that. So we talk about concatenate, we talk about len. So we're moving to days. So first,
yes, sir.
So what is the syntax for days? What is the formula that is used for days? You have equal to days, end date, comma, start date. What is it used for? This is the number of calendar days between two dates is calculated using this function. The number of calendar days. So if, for example, you have a project and the project is meant to start today. Today is 6th of February. And this project will end on 21st of December. Then if somebody asks you how many calendar days are really involved, you can use this function days to find that. So we're going to apply this to our starting date, our end date, and starting date. You understand? So we're starting a project today, and this project will end here. So you want to know the number of days that are involved. So what do? You use days equal to, so the formula is equal to, so now see what happens. I just do, because you see, if you have like all these cells here, if you have an ordinary number or an ordinary text, you can see that if you click on it on the formula bar, you only see that number repeated, isn't it? For example, I just click on a cell with 1. What do you have here? 1, isn't it? If I click here, what do you have here? Female. Isn't it? But if I click here, what do you think happens? It shows a formula. That means that these cells have been programmed for a particular purpose.
Okay.
So if I come around here too.
If you click an empty cell, let's see what's there. Just the cell address.
Just empty. It's empty. Any cell that is empty, the formula bar is empty. It's showing you that nothing is done here.
Where shows the cell address? There's one that used to show cell address.
The cell address.
C5, C6.
No, it's here. It's like here.
Okay.
Let me move again. It's at this point. Okay, I'm trying to move back.
Okay.
It's at this point that you see the cell address. For example, this is B11. You can see it here. It's called the name box.
Okay.
This is the formula box. So that one shows the cell's address. So now coming back here, so we want to know the number of days between two dates. So this is the end date and this is the starting date. So this cell colon is J. This is J colon, while this is I colon. And the cell address here is what?
J2. J2.
And the cell address is what?
I2.
So if you type is equal to days, J2 colon I2, the system will return 24, that there are 24 days between those two.
Okay, J2 comma I2.
Yes, if you apply this to all the others, it will give you this number. So you can see that.
Yes.
So this, it will tell you exactly the number of calendar days that are between those two dates. So that's what you used to know. So you use days to know the number of calendar days between two dates.
Yes, sir.
So I'm moving to another one, network days. Network days is similar to days, but in this case, it will only give you the number of working days between two dates, excluding holidays and weekends. The number of working days between two dates. So the net work days function calculates the number of work days between two dates in Excel. Generally, it is assumed that from Monday to Fridays are working days, while Saturday and Sunday is supposed to be a weekend. That is how Excel is programmed, except it is changed. So now, if you do the same thing here, look at the number of days we got, but look at the number of working days. Are you saying that?
Yes.
So
That's
even
number
though,
of holidays.
even though this is the number of days between the 2 days, but the real number of working days is actually 17 out of this.
It's number of holidays you put there.
So this is is a number of calculates the number of work days between two dates in Excel.
Okay, so our title up there was wrong. Number of work days should be not number of holidays.
Okay, so it should be number of work days. Sorry, it's the number of work days. So work days. So number of work days between two dates. So you can get that by using the formula start date and end date. So you use the start date. For, in this case, it is I2, J2. So if you click here, the system will tell you the formula that is used equal to net work days I2, J2. So I2, J2 will give you the number of active network days between these two dates. So that's how that is gotten. Can I go ahead?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I move to sum if. So sum if is different from sum. When you start talking about if, that means you want to add a criteria, a condition. Take for instance, if I want to sum everything that is under salary, this is salary. Now, what did I say? Can you recall? How can I format this salary so that it will show the amount in the proper way? Maybe with a decimal point and commas. So if you recall, I said you should go to home, and from home you move to where you have numbers and you put comma star. So that will bring this to you. Do you remember?
Yes.
Good. So it's looking like the real amount now. So now,
yes, sir.
I said, okay, now that we have this, if I want to sum this up, how do I do? If I want to sum this and return a value here, what do I do?
You put equal to.
Okay, so another way to do this is what? Yes, we can do equal to this plus this plus this plus this cell plus this cell plus this cell. But another way we can do this, if you recall what I showed you, was I can highlight up to the point where I want to put the total. Then I'll go to home. Then I use what is called auto sum. I use auto sum. Auto sum is in the home directory.
Okay.
So immediately I click on auto sum, it automatically fixes in the total for me.
Okay.
Did you see what I did?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that gives me the total there. Now, but that is sum. But we are saying sum if. So sum if now is more or less like a conditional. So sum if is telling us, look at a particular column. For example, now, maybe you look at this one. Look at this. Look at. You can compare it with two different columns. Maybe look at the sum range. Look at the sum range. Look at another kind of range, and add only the ones that are female or male.
Okay.
Do you understand what I mean? So we have this is the salary. This is the salary of everybody. But under the gender column, we are seeing here that we have male. We have 3 males and 3 female. So we can use sum if and say, please sum up the salary for only female and tell me the total. Sum up the salary for only male and tell me the total. So we are putting a criteria here. So we are not just saying sum everything. What I did here was to sum everything. Do you understand? This is
Yes,
summing
sir.
everything. So let me show you here. So look at this. I just highlighted on the sum that I did. Now what is the formula? Equal to sum D2 colon D7, isn't it? That means summing everything. But I don't want you to sum everything. I want you to sum. So I'm bringing two different columns together, joining them together and telling you to filter based on male or female and sum their values and tell me what is the total amount that was earned by female and the total amount that was earned by male. So that's what the sum if helps you to do. So the sum if is sum range 1, criteria 1, and you continue like that. So this enables you to sum data based on numerous criteria. So looking at this, sum if D2 colon D7, that is the salary column. Then comma G2 colon G7, this is this one, where they are female. So I'm telling you, some things here, look at this column and sum only for female. This is what this line is telling us. And it will sum and return the value. So I can also do the same thing for male. So if I want the male value here, I will click here and say equal to, I can copy this whole formula and paste it there. If I don't want to type it manually, I will just type it here. Then here I will say only for male. That means go to the salary directory. Are you there? Go to the salary directory, check where you have gender and sum only for male, and press enter. So sum if I think okay, I missed the male column is F, not G. So see now it's telling me 0 because it now went to G2. Look at G2. This is G2, G7, and it said there's something like male there, so you return 0. Have you seen that?
Yes.
So, but where I have male and female is the F column. So I'll go back and tweak that formula. So it is F2, F2, F7. F2, F7. See, that cell is highlighted, and I press enter. So it's telling me here that the total number of money paid to the male is 90,000. So the total money here paid to female is 117,000. So you can see here that the male earns more than the female. By what range? How do I know? If I want to find the difference between the two, what do I do?
You put them equal to,
yes, this
D8
D9
no D9 minus F
minus E10. Yeah, this is where the value is.
Okay.
Then I press enter, and it tells me that the difference is 27,000. So you can read from here, you can infer from here that the female earn 27,000 higher than the male. Huh? So what can we say here? Out of the total amount of 207,000 paid, female earned 117,000 while the male earned 90,000, and that's a difference of 27,000. So the female earned more money than the male. So that's what the sum if enables you to do. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
So the sum if is not just summing, but it has a sum range that it wants to add, because sum means you want to add a number. So there's a sum range, isn't it?
Yes.
There's another range that you want to use to compare, to relate it to. Then you now set your criteria. Did you see that? There's a sum range. Then there's another range that you want to use to set a condition, and you now set your condition.
This condition now is gender.
Yes. So now,
or male or female.
Okay, so I can ask you now, in this equation, give me the total number of participants that did 2 projects. So this is 2, 5, 1, 1, 1. So give me the total number of participants, the total amount spent on participants that did 2 projects. What is the answer?
Sum if.
Now, did you hear the question? So now we want to find, let's find the total amount earned by the I want to call them participants, that did 2 projects each. What is the total amount earned by the participants that did 2 projects each? So we are looking at here and here. So we want to enter that data here. So what do? We type. So in this case, where are the column? The sum range is still salary.
Yes.
The range is what now? Project.
Yes, sir.
And the criteria is what? 2. Isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So our formula will be something like what? Okay, give me the formula. Equal to
sum if
bracket opens
D2
colon D7. That is the sum range, comma.
Yes. The criteria sum range, then the criteria, which is
the range, the range of the folder that we have in mind, which is the project folder, and that is G2 colon what?
G7
and the criteria
2 G2
under double quote.
Okay.
So we close this bracket, double quote, then close the bracket. So that's what we're looking at. So we press enter. Now we found a problem with the formula. Okay, let's put just ordinary 2, because 2 is a number, it's not a string. Let's see the formula again. Sorry, you said there's something wrong with that formula. I want to expand. Let me expand it so that we can see it very well. I'm expanding it. Then I will come back here and I'll type equal to sum if bracket opens. Oh, sorry. We need to see the just a minute. I want to reduce it a bit so that we can see the screen. It's too large. Okay. I want to zoom in. Okay, well, we can see. So I'm moving this over here, increasing here. So we said, let me use here because of the space.
Okay.
So here I have equal to sum ifs. Sum. Okay, yeah. I've seen where we make ifs. Bracket open. Then range is what? D what?
D2, D7.
D2 colon D7.
D7.
Comma. Which range are we looking at? We're looking at the project range, which is what?
Which is G2 colon G2
colon
G7,
comma. Then the criteria,
which is G2.
Let's the criteria. Okay, you want to say G2 or we just say 2?
Okay.
So what we're saying is that, so we're look for those that have a total of project 2 and add it together. That's what we're saying here.
Okay.
So if we type enter, the system now tells us that the total number of participants that did 2 projects each is 60,000. So how do we confirm it? This man did 2 projects. This man did 2 projects. So 25 plus 35 is 60. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
That's how it is. That's just how it is. So I want to still test you on one more before we move on. So you do it and tell me the answer. So we finish the project. So don't forget we're still using some if. Okay, we've done this, we've done this. These other ones are dates. And the date, is there any date that is repeated? Okay. Now, now, tell me, you see these two people work, you can see that this date, length of days. Have you seen this?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, we say this is not holiday.
It's work
Okay, that was
days.
corrected. Okay, if you
Yes.
look at the number of days worked here, you can see that two people had 30 here. Eh?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay, I can tell me the total amount that was paid to these two people that had 30.
Okay. Equal to some ifs.
So we now type equal to some ifs.
Yes,
Bracket
sir.
opens.
Bracket open.
The
D2.
sum range. D what? D2
D2
colon
colon D7.
Comma.
Okay. Comma. Then you say the number of people that had 30,000.
No, 30 days. That work for 30 days. Number of days.
Okay, 30 days. Okay, then we now come to L2.
Is that L2?
Colon.
No, is that okay? Yes, L2. Beautiful. L2 colon
colon L7.
L7 comma.
Yes. Comma. Then 30.
Then condition. Oh,
Condition
sorry.
is there.
I was still typing.
The criteria.
Okay, I'll come here and say 30. I'm doing it from up now.
Okay.
That's it. That's it.
Yes, sir.
So I press enter. So the total amount is what? 105,000 naira. So if you come around here, add these two, and these two, you have 100. That's how it works. Okay, that's a good one. So it shows that we're understanding what we're doing. So,
thank you.
So that's sum if. So we're moving away from sum if to average if.
Yes, sir.
If you're ready for us to stop, we can stop. Are you okay?
Yes, sir.
We can stop now.
I'm okay.
Okay, fine. Okay, so this is
at least we have just 3 more and then we'll go.
Okay, so we'll stop by, we've done some if, so we can do average if, count if, and count and stop. So
yes, sir.
Average if is similar to some if, but this time around it takes the average. So we still have this number. So let's see. Average ifs, syntax, average if, average range 1, criteria 1, criteria 2. So average if, like some ifs, lets you take an average based on 1 or 2 parameters. Takes an average. So for example, you see the formula is similar to some if, but this time around, instead of just adding the 2, it takes the average of the 2. Okay, yes, so sir. Now, so we still have the D2, D7. Then we have here G2, G7, G2, G7. And for those that had only one project, this is 1, 2, and 3. So what it will do is that it will sum these 3 and divide by 3. It will take the average of it. And once it takes the average, it will now give you the answer that we have here. So let's even try to work it out and see. If you add these 3 together and divide by 3, what do we have? So how do we do it? We don't need to use calculator, so we can say equal to this plus this plus this.
Yeah.
Divided by
3.
Enter. So once we do that, we will now have 87,000. This, so let me see the formula. Okay, no, that's not correct. That's not correct. It should be the whole of this, so we'll put this in bracket. That's Botman's. So this should be, that's how it's supposed to be. No, what did I do? let me see it again. Divided by, not multiply. Divided
Okay.
by 3. So we are adding all this together and we are dividing it by 3. Let's see, the system gives us this answer. So you see the answer corresponds to what we have here. We are summing all this and we're dividing by 3 and we got that. That's average if. Then what is count if? Now count if, you look at the range and the criteria. Count if function counts the number of values that satisfies a set of conditions. The number of values that satisfies a set of conditions. So look at this one now. Between this range, count the number of times we have female. Between this range, count the number of times we have male. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
So between this range, so between F2 and F7, so we have F2 and F7. How many times do we have female there?
3 times.
How many times do we have male?
3 times.
That's how it is. So, but you can also have this, where there is 1 within this, then you count the number of times you have female. So in this case, you are not just saying count the number of times we have female. You are also bringing a condition where the female is equal to 1, where the value is equal to 1. Did you see that? Look at this one now. So this, why is this one different from this? This one will return 3, while this one will return 2. Why?
I don't know.
No, look at it now.
I didn't quite get this one.
Okay, it's like counting the number of times this is occurring. Now, don't forget, look at F2 and F7. This is F2 and F7. I've asked the question, how many times do we have female here? You said 3 times, isn't it?
3. Yes.
But look at this now. Here, we are not just looking at this range and the female alone, but we are also bringing in another condition here. So we are saying, bring these two together. That is, look at this. Look at F2, F7. Then also look at G2, G7. Then look at where you have 1. And look for where you have female and count the number of times it appears.
Okay.
So G2, G7, the number within G2 and G7, how many times do we have 1? 3 times, isn't it? Isn't that?
And female.
Then compare it to F2 and how many times do we have female that have the value 1? Only 2. So this is what we're looking at here.
Okay.
By joining all this together.
Okay.
So basically it's like it's telling us, look at these two range and find the number of times you have female that have a project equal to 1.
Okay.
So you can just keep adding the condition. So it's telling you, look at these two range. Find the number of times you have female occurring with the project number 1, and there are only 2 because the other female had a project 2. So only two times we had female with a project 1. So that's why the thing returns 1. Okay. Now, so counter. I'm going to counter. So that's where we're going to stop. What does counter does? The counter function counts cells containing any type of information, including error values and empty text. It just basically counts what you have in a cell. It counts cells containing any type of information, including error values and even empty space. The other time we had anything that counts something was in len, L-E-N. It counts the number of character. But this one counts everything. So let's look at, for example, let's look at this counter B2, B7. This is B2, B7.
Yes, sir.
B2, B7. So when we say counter B2, B7, what happens here? So it counts, it will now count the cell containing any type of information. So the cells that contain any type of information, including errors and empty space. So we have this, we have this, we have this, we have this. Let's count this one and see. If we are counting here, hey, what are the number of cells that contains information here? So if we change this to, this range of cells is what? This range of cell is what? C2, C7, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So if I repeat this for C2, C7, for C2, C7, for C2, C7, what do we have? The system is telling me 5. So how many times do we have any value in counter here? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
4, 5.
Let's count this one. If you are counting this
Well,
one,
it says including errors and empty text. What do they mean by that? Because there's an empty space there.
I have to check that. I think that should be excluding errors and empty space. But look at this one now. This one is what? If we do F2, F7, what do we have? So I'm going to change it to F2, F7. This is F2, F7. That's 6, isn't it? So from what we can draw from here, we can see that this one contains data. All the 6 cells has data. This one, all the 5 cells have data, excluding the empty space. And this one, all the 4 cells have data, excluding these 2. Excluding these 2. That's why we got 4. And this one will have all that. And this one will have, and this one will have, and this one will have, and this one will have. So what the counter does is value 1, value 2, or a range of cells. Count cells containing any type of information. We will check. This should be excluding, not including, excluding error values and empty cells. So that's where we're going to stop for today. So so far we've been able to look at introduction, we've been able to look at concatenation, we've been able to look at len. Okay, so introduction, we just introduce what Excel is, and we talk about how we can convert our Excel tables to we convert our sales table. So for example, this table, I can format it the way I want it, you know, Excel table to from the data we can do some calculation, and we can also do some visualization. Then we now talked about how you can find the total number of rows and total number of columns, how you can bring in your graph. Then we now look at this table, and we said in this table first name was provided with the last name, but we want the name combined together, so we use concatenate function to bring that together. Then we went to len. I said len, what len does is that it just counts the number of characters for you. So that can be used to set restriction. For example, we can write a program that will set restriction that the phone number should not be more than 10, either 10 words, or the full name should not be more than 20 words. So we take an average and use that to restrict people from typing in anything. Then we also look at days. We said count the number of calendar days between 2 dates. Then network days, count the number of working days between 2 days. Then sum if, doesn't just sum, but sums with a condition. You know, sum all these in reference to a particular range where the number of times of either male or female occurs. Then average, will now do the average of what you've gotten. Then count if, will count the number of times a particular value occurs, and counter is used to count the number of times you have anything data in a cell. So we will see how we are doing this. So as we are getting on, if you, I don't know if you can meet tomorrow. Are you still there? Is tomorrow
I'm still here.
Around this time, is tomorrow okay for you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you see how we're going to apply this when we now get to the section for artificial intelligence proper. When we start doing descriptive statistics, frequency statistics, regressional analysis, so and flash, field, and the rest of them. Okay, thank you so much. So I'll send this video to you.
Okay,
so
sir.
we'll see you tomorrow.
I appreciate it. Yes, sir.
Bye.
God bless you.
Okay then, good night.